There are things that can be explained. Unfortunately, there are no words to describe what is held in our stories. These stories are mixed with true events as well as fabrications of our slightly enhanced mental state. I suggest you not follow along if you get squeamish. Legrimmbros presents The Drugged Drugist. My name is Vince. I grew up in a somewhat small town in the state of Virginia. It was a calm place to live, rich in its history. Virginia was the main theater of the Civil War, if you haven't been in a day of U.S. history class. I just graduated college and starting my job as a lab technician at a local laboratory. I work graveyard. Most of my shifts start at around 10 p.m. The lab is located just outside of a wetland area. I wasn't sure why, but I always got an odd feeling when I walked through the parking lot. I wasn't sure why, but I got over it once I went inside. My girlfriend and I actually work together. She is a pale white girl with dark hair and hazel eyes, and does some of the ordering for the lab. Her name is Candace. We have only been together for about 4 months. Everything is still a little bit new in our relationship. She doesn't work quite as late as I do. She leaves the lab at around 12 a.m. each night. She waits for me to get out for lunch so we can talk about our day. On this particular night, things got a little weird at the lab. I got to work a bit late. It was about 10:45 p.m. I walked past Candace and gave her a smug-looking grin as to say, yeah, I know I'm late. She just laughs under her breath and shakes her head. I walk past one of our supply closets and see that it was open slightly. I look down and see a bright yellow pill bottle laying on the floor. I go ask Candace why the bottle is on the ground. We go look at the closet because she has no idea why I would be asking that. When we go to the closet, it's shut. No bottle, no evidence of anyone being near us. I tell Candace it must have been my imagination. Candace clocks out and heads to her car as she normally does around this time of night. I wave goodbye and see her head out. She's getting dinner for the both of us. I go back to work and walk into one of our clean rooms. I work in there for a while. After a while, I look at the digital clock outside the room, and it says 3 a.m. I had forgotten about dinner. Candace usually brings it back to the lab. I thought it was odd that she hadn't shown up yet. I take off my equipment and walk down the hallway. I see something out of the corner of my eye as I pass the window. I quickly look that direction. I see something odd walking toward the wetland. It looks like some black and white figure. It's moving quickly, but seems to stop as if it senses that I'm watching it. It turns around. I haven't seen anything like this in my life. This thing was a woman with long black hair tied back into a ponytail. But at this distance, I can't see any definition in the face of the woman, but I can tell she's staring at me. I get the chills up and down the back of my neck. I run outside to see if Candace had shown up for dinner. Maybe she's in her car. I see her car at the back end of the parking lot. Her door was wide open. Her belongings are torn out of the car as well. The inside was a disaster, as if something had torn its way through the cabin. I checked my phone to see if she called in desperation or at least messaged me that she was in trouble, and I see that she did indeed message me. It read, "I'll be in the wetlands across the way from the apothecary." Apothecary? I'd not known the lab to be an apothecary. We did do some research on medicine, but it was odd to call it that, especially coming from an employee. I was sweating at this point. I kept telling myself that she was okay and that I would just go across and check to see if she was actually there. I start towards the wetlands and find myself a path that I thought she might have gone. I step down into the muddy, dark water. It's not as deep as I would have thought. It's pitch black outside and as quiet as could be. I only hear my footsteps and heavier breathing from trudging through the water. I see a flash of white passing some trees ahead. I also hear some strange noise behind me, which sounded like someone whispering, "Go," in my ear. I try not to let it bother me as I don't know what to expect ahead. I eventually get to the clearing about 2 miles in. The clearing has a huge tree in the center. There's a letter carved into the center which was the letter B, I go up to the tree and the letter seems to be carved in by some primitive tool. I notice another letter, L. Then another and another. The tree was carved with the word bleed on it. As soon as I turn around, the faceless woman appears before me. This time, I could see her face in complete detail. Her eyes were as red as blood. Her teeth were broken and gnarled in an unnatural way. I heard her voice in a whisper. I saw you staring at me through the pane glass window. I didn't know how to respond. All I could get out was, where's Candace? She looked at me with a curious look, then started to smile with her broken teeth. I don't know what you mean, she said as she tried to hold back her urge to laugh hysterically. My girlfriend Candace was in the car you tore up. What did you do with her? I said, starting to get frustrated with this woman. Who cares about that? She said, starting to move towards me. I stepped back with my back pressed against the large tree. She pressed her face and body against mine. I closed my eyes, wishing that she would just let me go and just answer my question. I opened my eyes again to see that she's disappeared. The moment when she pressed herself against me, I felt nothing but a cold, deep emptiness that only something dead would project. I looked around the tree and she was nowhere to be found. I hear rustling in the leaves above me. I feel something damp and cold hit my shoulder. I crouched down onto the ground to see what hit me. It was a crimson red blob that seemed to be moving. I then realized it was a human heart. I hear a whisper in my ear. Here she is. I turn my head and there's the woman laughing at me with her pale skin and cold face. I pass out from the unbelievable turn of events. I then wake up in darkness. I see a sliver of light from under the door. I hear voices talking from behind the door. The door opens and there's Candace and one of the doctors on staff. I look down and see that I have the yellow bottle. I look up and notice I was in the supply closet. Hey guys, Rush here. Just letting you know this was our first narration and was a completely original story written by the other narrator. His name's Undead. You'll be hearing from him shortly. So let us know in the comments what you think. Any feedback, we'd greatly appreciate it. Go ahead and click the like and subscribe button, and I promise the video quality will only get better over time. You guys have a good night, and remember, death makes sure that everyone's equal.